Welcome back to Goldfish Food. I did. I had a look at the YouTube channel analyst thing, and it showed up that people were quite interested in what or were searching for fish food, goldfish food, stuff like that. So I thought I'd do a little short video on what I feed my fish, when I start to feed them, when I stop feeding them, and the different foods you can give them, and the different treats you can give them as well. It won't be a long video, or I hope not anyway. So we'll go right into it. So I basically feed my fish two types of food most of the year, especially the ones indoors. The ones outdoors we'll talk about in a minute. So I feed them a premium quality flake, which is high growth and high colour, has all natural essential vitamins and minerals that they require. And then a tricolour pellet, which again is colour and growth and has all the vitamins and minerals that they require for natural growth. So that's basically what we feed these in here most of the year round. The water looks terrible. That's because I just clean the filter out, so don't worry about that. So that's what they get fed all year round. Outdoors, they get fed the same, but we stop feeding when temperature gets down to 10 degrees, because I'm a firm believer that once it gets down to 10 degrees and below, you shouldn't be feeding your fish. Now that's going to be quite controversial with some people, and that's fine. You do it your way, I do it my way. I've always done it this way, and I never have any problems. It's not like a sudden cut off. When the temperature starts to dip, then we'll start to reduce the feed. So it's not like I just wake up one day and it's 10 degrees and we just don't feed them. It's the fact that over the course of 2 or 3 weeks we'll slowly build it down to nothing. So that's why we do it. We've always done it that way, or I've always done it that way. As I said, it's going to be quite controversial. You do it your way. Whatever works for you is great. So we'll move on to the rest. So this is a goldfish sinking pellet, which they get fed as well, but we usually only feed this in the spring and summer because this is high protein and very high in colourant, and will mess your filters up. You do then end up doing more filter cleaning with this stuff. That's why we feed it sparingly. As for our little ones, we have a mix of spirulina and a protein mix here, as you can see. Some of it sinks, some of it floats. It's quite good to get them to used to being fed from the surface. I do like to mix my food up, so sometimes I get fed food that sinks, sometimes I get food that floats, just the way it is. But this does both, and it's great for, as you see, it's really fine. It's great for the fry when they're at a stage when they're taking solid food. We'll move on to the bigger stuff. So this is just general purpose pellet. This is a sinking pellet. As I say, just general purpose pellet. I get all my food from one place. I'm not going to name them, just because of the fact that they don't sponsor. If they sponsored me, then fair enough, I'd name them. But I do buy all my food from there. As you can probably tell from the bags, if you know the company, you know who they are. But as I said, I'm not going to name them. I do like to feed them fish different stuff as well. So this is a koi colour and growth pellet, 4.5 mil. So the big boys and girls in the main pond get this. And sometimes, if I want to give the fish something to do, because I'm of the opinion that if you just feed your fish the same stuff all the time, A, they get bored with it, just like you would if you ate the same stuff all the time, and B, if you didn't have to work for it a little bit harder. So what I do is with the little ones, I'll put some of these into the tank, even though it's too big for them to eat, but they have to work for it, so they'll nibble on it until they get enough food. Always seems to work. Don't have a problem with that. Right, we'll move on to other stuff you can feed your fish. Now, we feed ours, let me get them out and pack it. Crab sticks. Frozen crab sticks. Sometimes, most of the time, we'll defrost them. I would recommend buying frozen. If you're going to feed them crab sticks or prawns or shrimps or anything like that, I would highly recommend buying them frozen, not fresh, and then just defrosting them and feeding them like that. If you've got big enough fish, you can feed them whole, and they'll eat that without any problem. These we'll cut up, drop them in the tanks, but we don't feed these till spring and summer again, because we've stopped feeding outside when the temperature gets down to 10 degrees, as I've already mentioned. In here, we don't feed these in the winter, just the basic food that they've got there. What else can you feed? Well, you can basically feed goldfish anything, a bit like koi, I would suspect. So you can put in, you can get a little gem lettuce, cut it in half, or take some leaves off it, depending on the size of your fish, size of your tank. Drop it in over the course of a couple of hours. They'll quite happily munch on that. Yeah, again, you can do it with oranges. If you take an orange, cut it in half, or cut slices out of an orange and put it in, excuse me, they'll eat the fleshy inside, which is good for them, good for their colour. Obviously, they'll leave the rind alone. Once they're finished with it and they're stripped it clean, you just take the rind bit out and throw it away, put it in your compost bin, whatever. If you put a half in, then they'll, if you've got bigger fish, then they'll eat it all, apart from the rind again. You just take that out and throw it away. You can use watermelon, but I'd be very careful with the pips. You go take the pips out of it, or try and get one that doesn't have the seeds in it, whatever. But basically, you can feed them anything. They are omnivores, they'll eat anything. You can feed them Cheerios. I've seen that done, and I've done it myself. If you get some Cheerios, if your fish are small, then I suggest crushing them up. But you can, if you've got bigger fish, you can just chuck them in a hole, and they're quite happy to eat those as well. I said this wasn't supposed to be a great long video, but that's what we do. So these are our two basics, which we feed all year round into here and outside. And then you got your colorants, your goldfish sinking, which is high in colorant, whatever. You got your little baby stuff, and then some bigger stuff. And then what we do before, when we got the fry, I can do this without. So we got brine shrimp eggs, which we hatch, and then we feed them the live brine shrimps. And then before they move on to that, we do something called micro worms, which again you colonate them in using bread or mash, smash, whatever. Or maybe I've done a video on that before, I think, but I'm probably doing another one next year. So yeah, they start off with micro worms, then they move on to brine shrimp, and then once they've gone to brine shrimp and they've grown up a bit, then they move on to this fine pellet. Sometimes we'll crush this down a little bit further, just so they can eat it. But majority of the time, as I said, I do like to make my fish work for their food. Gives them something to do instead of just swimming around, because in the wild they'd have to hunt for it anyway. So that's why sometimes we'll give the little ones a bigger pallet, just to give them something to do. So anyway, that's where we're at. That's roughly what we do. Occasionally, when they're really small, we'll do egg yolk, but I'm not a massive fan of it. I find it gets everywhere and just makes a mess. So yeah, that's about it really. If you like the video, think about subscribing. Helps the channel out a lot. If you do like the video, think about hitting thumbs up. If you don't like the video, hit thumbs down. That's fine. If you've got anything to say, which I'm sure some people will have something to say about this, post them in the comments section below and I'll reply to them. I'm not too sure I'll do another video before Christmas, so if I don't, I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas and a happy New Year, and we will be back in the New Year with hopefully some exciting contents. The new website is up and running. The shopping cart's all been fixed. I'll post the web address for that in the link below. If you want to go and check it out, feel free. This isn't going to be a selling channel by any means, but the website is there for a pond maintenance service and for products. So if you've got anything that you need, from pumps to filters to anything, feel free to drop by and have a look. If you can't find what you're looking for, as I said, it's only been up a couple of days, so we're still adding contents all the time. If you can't find anything you're looking for, just drop me a note and I'll get you a price for it. Alright, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace and out.